Yeah, the thing about pulmonary hypertension is that while there's no cure for the disease, if recognised early enough, you can have a pretty good quality of life. If not recognised early, then you can struggle a bit and have a pretty miserable existence and eventually lead to death.
Richard Cullerton is a very lucky man, and he knows it. Despite being diagnosed with a life-threatening disease, early treatment has meant that he can still enjoy a round of golf with his family and do many of the things he was able to do before falling ill with pulmonary hypertension.
In the early part of 2005, I was feeling a bit lethargic, tired, pretty miserable to be honest. I realised that any time I'd done physical activity, I was struggling, I mean really struggling, so I decided to go to the GP 3 or 4 months later and hoped that he could find something wrong with me apart from this being thinking you're overweight and unfit, and as it turns out they found that there was something wrong.
As luck would have it, his GP had recently attended a pulmonary hypertension conference, so he recognised the symptoms almost straight away. It certainly helped Richie and his family, who were told very quickly that he had an extremely rare and incurable lung and heart disease.
Well, when we first looked online, apart from the PHA website, it was basically, you didn't have a chance. It was like you had 6 months to live, you had a year to live, and like hearing that, it's just really, really very worrying because we are still a young family.
For most pulmonary hypertension patients, the average time to receive a correct diagnosis is 2.5 years. And during that time, the disease can progress rapidly and cause debilitating symptoms. But Richard's symptoms had been recognised in just a few short months, and the doctors at the specialist PH unit in Glasgow were able to start treatment very early in the course of the disease. And they immediately placed him on a demanding but life-saving regime of drugs and oxygen that enable him to have a more or less normal life. Thanks to the speed of his diagnosis, Richard now comfortably maintains a full-time office job, and his life is relatively unaffected by this incurable and often fatal disease.
I'm very lucky and very grateful for my early diagnosis. I can still play a little bit of sport and enjoy my golf with my family, with my wife, with my son, who unfortunately are both club champions. Maybe one day I'll be joining them on the leaders board and hopefully get on the board in the clubhouse. It's never nice to play with your wife and your son and knowing you're going to get beat every week. Maybe one day I'll be champion and get Moan back on that pair. So here's hoping.
Please help us to be able to help people like Richard and his family by supporting our pulmonary hypertension awareness campaign.